The saga of Kevin Durant is once again taking center stage in the NBA, and this time, it could mark his final act in the league's dramatic trade carousel. After another disappointing playoff run with the Phoenix Suns, whispers have become declarations. Durant will likely be moved this offseason. And so begins the familiar yet always riveting speculation. Where is KD headed next? Will it be a return to a former team, a fresh start on a rising contender, or something completely unexpected? What follows is an in-depth look at every realistic trade scenario, the logic behind each, and why KD's next move could define the twilight of his career. Golden State was rumored to have expressed interest at the deadline, but Durant reportedly wasn't keen on the idea of returning, at least not mid-season. The optics were too messy. For KD, going back would be an implicit admission that everything since his departure, Brooklyn-Phoenix, had been a mistake. Besides, the Warriors have since landed Jimmy Butler and are thriving. From both sides, it makes little sense. It would still be Steph's team. And KD doesn't want to play sidekick again. On paper, Durant alongside Victor Wembanyama sounds like an unfair cheat code. Two long, versatile forwards with elite scoring and shot-blocking potential. But there's a disconnect between Durant's age, turning 37, and the Spurs' timeline. Wemby is just entering his second season, and key teammates like Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Stephon Castle are still developing. Trading for KD would require parting with multiple young assets and potentially stalling a rebuild that hasn't even fully begun. Simply put, the Spurs can't afford to mortgage their future for a player who may only have 2 peak seasons left. Now, we're talking. Houston is uniquely positioned to make a deal happen thanks to its control over several of the Suns' future draft picks, leverage that no other team possesses. They also have a stockpile of young talent: Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, Alperen Sengun, and Jabari Smith Jr., all under 23. KD would immediately become the scoring leader this young team lacks, bringing postseason experience and stability to a group that's been exciting but inconsistent. It also makes financial sense with Green or another young player matching salaries, and those Suns picks reducing the need for further compensation. That said, Houston may hold out for an even bigger prize, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Should Milwaukee implode, the Rockets could pivot hard toward acquiring the Greek Freak instead. But if Giannis remains in Wisconsin, Durant is a highly viable plan B. The Mavericks have reportedly shown interest, with GM Nico Harrison rumored to be dreaming of a Durant pairing alongside Luka and Kyrie. On the surface, it's appealing. But the Mavericks offer, something like PJ Washington, Jaden Hardy, and a couple of first-round picks, lacks punch. For Phoenix, it's just not enough. And for KD, would he really want to join a team where Kyrie is rehabbing a devastating injury and Anthony Davis is perpetually a question mark? Even if the Mavericks are interested, they simply don't have the pieces to make it work. The Heat will always be in the conversation when a superstar is on the block. They have the contracts to make the money work, some intriguing young talent, Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kel'el Ware, and enough draft capital to sweeten the deal. More importantly, Miami just doesn't rebuild. They've made it clear they want to stay relevant with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro forming the core. Add Durant, and you've got a strong playoff team, though likely not a true title contender. Still, KD in Miami feels like a realistic scenario. It fits the Heat's win-now mentality, gives Durant a strong culture and coaching staff, and might be the path of least resistance when compared to more complex deals elsewhere. Durant to the Knicks has been a dream floated for years, but it just doesn't make sense anymore. New York already made their big moves. Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and OG Anunoby form a potent trio, and KD doesn't solve their biggest issues: defense and interior toughness. Moreover, the Knicks would have to give up too much to get him, and they lack young stars or picks to make a compelling offer. Bridges for Durant again? It's too poetic and too unlikely. The Wolves have reportedly expressed interest in KD, and the fit is tantalizing. Durant next to Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels? That's instant title contention. But Minnesota isn't willing to part with Edwards, rightfully so, or McDaniels, and without them, the trade falls flat. The Wolves have already solidified their playoff credibility and appear to be building organically. KD would elevate them, but unless they loosen their grip on core players, it's not happening. If there's one team that could shock everyone, it's OKC. With a treasure chest of picks and a loaded young roster, they could easily put together the best offer for Durant. The story practically writes itself, a redemption arc for KD, a legacy-defining return to the franchise that raised him, and a final shot at a title with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams. But there's one catch: OKC still holds a grudge. The fan base hasn't forgiven Durant, and the front office may not be eager to reopen that chapter. They're also eyeing Giannis, who might be a cleaner long-term fit. Still, if the Thunder get bounced early in the playoffs again, don't rule it out completely. Seeing KD back in that OKC jersey would be one of the most nostalgic moments in modern sports, and perhaps the closure both sides need. Houston has the youth, the picks, and the positional need. They can build around Durant while keeping most of their core intact, and still have the firepower to contend in a tough Western Conference. KD would become the veteran leader on a team full of rising stars, and might even enjoy being the mentor for once in his career. Miami, on the other hand, offers familiarity, structure, and a relentless will to compete. Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in basketball. Him and Harrow are solid foundational pieces. KD wouldn't be guaranteed a ring, but he'd be part of a respected system, and that might be enough at this point in his career. Houston Rockets seem the most logical, from both a trade asset and basketball fit perspective. But Miami Heat is the emotional pick. A team that doesn't tank, doesn't sit still, and could sell Durant on one last run in South Beach. What about you? Where do you think Kevin Durant will end up next season? Will he return to OKC and complete the circle? Will Pat Riley make one more big splash in Miami? Or will the Suns keep him in Phoenix and run it back one more time? Drop your prediction in the comments, like if you think KD still has another title in him. And hit subscribe for more smart, in-depth breakdowns, because in a league where trades happen faster than you can say super team, staying informed is the only way to